Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
That kid is back on the escalator again.
Ain't gonna hurt.
Here's my boomstick!
Game over, man. It's game over.
Welcome to the Bargain Bin. He is your host, Ben Mason.
And he is your co-host, Sandro Luketic. And today we're talking 1984's A Nightmare on Elm Street. As always, we assume if you're listening to this episode, you have already seen the movie. And it is a classic horror film. So I assume most people, yourself excluded, have seen this before. But this is our April listener pick selected by Craig, who you refuse to accept as a former producer of the show. For now, from here on out, he will always just be listener Craig.
I'm not going to acknowledge any of that.
And you don't need to.
Wait. 1984?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I know you're joking, but at the same time, I was thinking, I wonder if he's going to end up watching the remake.
Oh, that joke will never get old in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually a movie that is popular enough that I'd actually seen it before we did the episode.
No shit.
Yeah, man. We've talked about it when we, did our non-episode based viewing of Friday the 13th, how I've seen like 3 random movies from the series.
Oh, that's right.
It's the same with Nightmare on Elm Street. I'd seen the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I saw Wes Craven's New Nightmare, if that counts as part of the timeline.
Oh,
and
definitely.
I saw Freddy vs. Jason. But those are the only 3 that I'd seen.
Okay. Oh, you need to check out part 3, man.
I know, you reference it all the time.
Yeah, it's great. If only for the soundtrack. But it's by far the best of the Nightmare films.
Oh, then I'm glad that this one was selected.
Yeah. We'll have words on that.
Okay. Well, that's the idea behind a podcast, is to have words on things. But.
So, we've already covered that you've seen the movie before.
Yes.
I assume this means we're going to jump right into your game.
Well, normally you ask me, like, what the listener pick reason for it was, but I guess we can jump into my game.
No, that's fine. Let's hear Craig's reasoning for this.
No, I should rephrase. We have to. Craig did not fill out the form, even after multiple reminders. So we have no information from him.
We don't even have his awards?
Nope.
Fucking Craig.
You're in the group chat. You saw the reminders. There's nothing I can do about it.
He left us high and dry on this one.
Whatever. Anyway, we have 3 full characters, I guess, and 2 partial ones.
Shit, I knew 3 of them. I didn't know there were 2 others.
Yeah, but like when I say the partial ones, they're kind of those minor roles, right? Like
Well, one of them for me is a minor role.
Okay, well, what do you got?
All right, so starting off, Robert Englund, for sure.
We covered him
Never
twice,
Too Young to Die.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the only one he was in?
No, I just said we covered him twice.
Twice?
Mm-hmm. Not like his role was that big in the other one either.
I don't know. What was the other one?
Hatchet.
Oh, that's right. At the beginning. Okay, I get you.
Yeah, he was Samson.
Yep.
Right.
The minor role for me is the incredible Lin Shaye.
Yep.
I want to say The Running Man. I couldn't remember if it was The Running Man or Commando.
No, it was the Running Man, propaganda officer.
Yes.
And?
What and? I don't know. What else did we cover her in?
She was PTA parent number 3 in Pump Up the Volume.
See, I don't remember that at all, but that makes perfect sense.
I said it was minor. I just didn't say how minor it was.
But like seeing her as the overbearing mother in Detroit Rock City, it's kind of the same character. So that makes perfect sense. And the third one that I got was from watching the credits. I didn't even recognize him in the movie, but it was Charles Fleischer.
Okay.
And he was in Demon Knight.
As Wally. That's correct.
Yeah, the postal worker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who have I missed though? I'm curious.
Johnny Depp.
Ah! How did I forget him? Oh my god.
In like one of our favorite
The Ninth
episodes
Gate.
ever.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. Oh, you suck.
So this is only the second time we've covered him, yeah?
Yep.
That's odd.
I
All
wish
right.
it was the first because I did not enjoy watching The Ninth Gate, but at least it was a good episode.
Yeah. And who else?
So that's you giving up.
Yeah, I don't know who else. Well, give me 1 second.
It's one of the minor ones, so it's fine.
Yeah, no, I got nothing.
Shoshani Hall, who was cop number 1 in this, played the wrestling coach in Cursed.
I don't remember any wrestling in. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. There's no way I would have fucking gotten that.
Well, that's why I've been categorizing them as major and minor to, try and alleviate the disappointment that you might feel.
I'm not disappointed in that. I don't take that as a loss.
Okay, then. I'm sorry.
No apologies.
Maybe we just shouldn't play this game anymore.
I'm telling you how things are. You're getting me riled up. We haven't even started talking about the fucking movie yet.
Yeah, like I'd ever let you stop playing the game.
Yeah, I know. Okay, jump in?
Yeah, man.
Okay. Well, the movie, we jump right into the movie with the scene showing us how Freddy Krueger made that iconic glove, which I don't remember from this movie at all, but I really enjoyed it. Fantastic music. His heavy breathing is creepy as shit. And then we get slammed with the title card and right into a nightmare. Your immediate thoughts about this as the intro to the movie?
I liked it. It definitely gets you right into the tone of the movie.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of the movies that we cover on here, there's really long, slow introductions through either a title crawl or just elongated intro music. And then a slow fade into the story. And this just hits you right away. I love it.
Yeah. And without being a flashback thing.
Yeah. But this is where we first see Tina, played by Amanda Weiss, or Wiss. I don't really know.
I don't know.
Sorry, I'm a little under the weather still. So, our first nightmare presents the labyrinth of a massive boiler room, which has become a mainstay in the series. I like this a lot. I like how it never really changes throughout the movies, and it is almost a character unto itself. Mm-hmm. I do have to question the goat, though. That was an odd choice for me.
Not nearly as scary as the furnace in Home Alone.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But Tina wakes up as she's being attacked and notices the 4 slashes in her nightgown. And then we get that classic jump rope song. Now, having seen this movie before and watching it now, do you find the song creepy?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Oh, okay. Why?
I think it's the presentation. When it's specifically the audio is made to sound faint and children singing it and what feels like not at the traditional pace that I hear it at, yeah, it's a little offsetting.
Okay. Never did it for me, man. I always found it really annoying. And I went back and thought about it. The first time I saw the movie that I remember seeing it, I saw it when I was probably, when this came out, 84. It's probably 3 or 4 years old. So the first time I remember watching it, I was listening to the lyrics of the song. It's 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. I'm like, who's Freddy? 3, 4, better lock your door. I'm like, why? Why do I need to do that?
I didn't even think about that. They give it to you so early that you don't actually have any of this information yet.
Yeah, 5, 6, grab your crucifix. I don't have one of those.
Does that ever even come into play here?
Yeah, it does. But at the same time, I'm like, none of this applies to me. So I'm like, let's finish with this song. So we cut to the next day as we meet Tina's friend Nancy Thompson, Heather Langenkamp, who is the lead going through the series for the most part, and her boyfriend Glenn Lance, played by Johnny Depp, who apparently I forgot was in The Ninth Gate, but this is his feature debut, and he still got it, man. Like way back then, he had some charm to him.
There's a reason that he goes on to be the biggest name from this, right? That these aren't accidents.
No, and he's got, I think, 2 appearances in this series. Both of which you have seen. Oh, wait, no, you didn't see Freddy's Dead. Anyway.
Yeah.
We should also mention Tina's boyfriend, Rod, played by Nick Corey. And
he does not come off as her boyfriend at all.
Rapist, maybe.
Like,
this guy is fucked up, man.
There's no part of this intro to this character where you think that these people even remotely like the guy.
Oh, well, Nancy and Glenn definitely don't like him.
Well, even...
He doesn't like him, it seems.
Yeah.
I think we can agree that to anybody watching this for the first time, it's easy to expect Tina to be the lead of the film.
Yeah, they do a great job making you think that that's the case. And even though I had seen it before, obviously my memory is a little not good. I thought she was going to be the lead again. It wasn't until it happened where I was like, oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And this, like, the movie's written and directed by Wes Craven. And this is something we see again in another Wes Craven movie. As we talked about in our lost episode of Scream. It's the exact same thing with Drew Barrymore.
Right. Yes.
So that night, Nancy and Glenn stay at Tina's house and we're treated to the stereo scene. And I want you to explain what happens, because I'm just curious. I'm curious to hear your take on this.
So Glenn, who is going to sleep over with the ladies, not in the same bed as his girlfriend, though, decides that he's going to call his mom and tell her that he's staying with his cousin, is it? I can't remember the exact relation. I think cousin, who lives by the airport. So he has a cassette tape of sound effects to play in the background to fool his mom into thinking that that's where he is. When he's playing it, it starts playing other inappropriate sound effects. And these idiots somehow don't know how to work the stereo to turn it off. And I guess the bigger idiot on the phone doesn't realize that these sound effects don't belong. And if you have this cassette tape ready for your alibi to stay at your cousin's, why do you have the other sound effects on it?
That's a major issue for me. Like, why not at least listen to it once? If this is your alibi, it's a make or break thing for you. Make sure it's going to work.
He should know what's on it. If he's clearly got the tape, he should know what's on it. Why?
The mix of effects on the tape are insane.
Yep.
Because it starts off working perfectly fine. You just hear the jet engines whirring, right? It makes sense. He's staying near the airport. Or wait, I think the cousin's like an air traffic controller or something. I don't know. But then it goes into screeching tires and sirens and then massive gunfire. And he's doing his best. He's doing his best while he's being laughed at by Tina and Nancy. Nancy even fucks it up even worse. But Glenn is just saying like, yeah, Mom, yeah, no, it's just something going on outside. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm going to call the police. And it is just a clusterfuck. But it still works somehow. Anyway.
Well, see, what happens is he turns out to be the killer and doesn't really have a mom. He's just putting that on for the girls.
Ah. See, I think you could write a really good horror film.
Or at least 2 minutes of one.
No, because you've rewritten scenes that we've talked about numerous times, and they're always better than what we've been given.
Yeah, well, I'm still working on a general guideline of what the movie gave me.
So we're going to write a movie, is what you're saying.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, the 3 teens find out that they've all dreamt of the same scary man with knives for fingers.
Well, not 3, because, what is it, Glenn?
Yeah.
Pretty much doesn't reveal it, because he's the killer. But there's also like, sorry,
you can see it in his face though. You can see yeah, his reaction, his facial expression is like, oh shit, but he won't admit it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I miss something.
No, I think you got it, but he was either in denial or just maybe he's one of those people that doesn't remember his dreams so well until they say it and it clicks in.
That's possible. Lucky for us, Sandro, Rod appears.
Okay, first of all, they hear a sound outside, and like a bunch of geniuses are like, let's just go fully out there and investigate, instead of like, oh, let's just lock the doors.
Do you think this movie is filled with good choices?
Okay, hold on. Jeez. But as he's crossing the backyard, little Johnny Depp, who they don't try to disguise his height in this like they do a lot of the other things he's in, is also, by the way, playing the jock. And I'm doing air quotes, even though you can't see it. Is shouting out, "Come out, whoever you are, I'm going to punch your lights out," in like the most unintimidating scene ever. I was like, no, you're not. No, you're not. A poodle could come out of that bush and you ain't doing shit.
Yeah. Well, it's time for loud makeup sex between Rod and Tina, followed by Tina's terrifying murder, which honestly does look pretty brutal.
Yes, it does.
First, we get something that I think is fantastic. It's really subtle, but works so well.
Okay.
5-6, Sandro, grab your crucifix. Because we cut to Nancy in bed. Everything is calm and quiet. She's asleep. And a crucifix falls off of the wall above the headboard of the bed. Now, the reason I like this so much is that it's one tiny action in a movie that's way too over the top. But this one tiny action gives so much weight to the potential danger that they're in. And I don't really remember this religious element being used well in the rest of the series, or even really at all, except in part 3. But something like that is, to me, Exorcist level of horror detail. I love that.
How can you say this movie's over at the top when we just followed up that sex scene where the other girl, who I can't even remember her name at this point,
Tina,
sounds like she's screaming bloody murder.
It does. Yeah, it really does. Question.
Yep.
Back to Nancy's room. What do you think about Freddy's face pushing through the ceiling over the bed? What do you think of that
I think that
effect?
looks fantastic.
Really?
It does look like it's dated, like it was done in a movie from 84, but from a conceptual standpoint, it is phenomenal. It doesn't make a lot of sense because that would imply that he's crossing out of the dream realm already, and
that's a huge problem in this movie.
Don't think he has that power, but it's still a cool visual.
I never really liked it. I think you're right, though. I think in 84, people watching this probably thought it was fantastic, but I think it's lacking something. I don't know. I think there's a clear break between the shot of Nancy and the shot of the ceiling. So right away, it takes me out of the movie because I'm like, oh, this is a composite shot. I get that, but I also understand a bit more about filmmaking than some film viewers. But it's also, I realized, I went back and rewatched it because I'm like, why is this bugging me so much? He's not wearing the glove because his hands push through on each side of his face, and they're just regular hands. And you never see Freddy without that glove, except for when he's making at the beginning. And I'm like, if you included those 4 blades coming through like the gyprock or like the paint a little bit, I think it'd be much more effective.
Okay, first of all, pretentious much? I know more than most viewers about movies. You were 4 when you saw this, you jerk.
The first time, bitch.
Second of all, there's not a clear break because he doesn't cut through the wall. It's
no,
solid.
I'm not saying that. No, like, oh my, you. See, I've got a sore throat. You're gonna kill me this episode, man. You know what I'm saying, though.
It's such a nitpick, and I know you call me out on it, so I'm doing the same.
Is it really a nitpick if it's that fucking obvious?
It's less obvious when you consider that it's Glenn pushing through the wall.
It's a complaint. I don't know if it's a nitpick. But yeah, okay. Tina waking up because someone's throwing rocks at the window. So one of the rocks breaks the window, and her thought, I'm going to go outside and see what's going on.
Another solid decision.
What are we doing here?
What do you mean?
Like, I get it, they're kids. But this is just fucking stupid. He's outside whispering her name.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes outside wearing only a shirt and just follows the voice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's an argument here that she's dreaming and isn't in control. But that should be played up, in my opinion.
I don't see what the problem here is.
Like, it seems like once you're asleep, you're fully in control of what you do, other than waking up. So, I don't know. This whole thing confuses me. But we get Freddy's reveal here. And the chase down the alleyway. Do you find this scary?
It actually looks kind of stupid.
It looks very stupid.
Especially the way that he's running with, like, the claw kind of to his side, because...
Well, he's limp-wristing his way down the alley.
Yeah, it's really... It looks bad.
It's not even an effective run. It's made worse when he starts cutting his fingers off.
For what purpose? Why is he doing that?
It's not scary. What about her ripping his face off and you see the skull?
Not necessary. Very poorly done.
Yes. Which brings me to my next question.
Okay.
Do you find Freddy Krueger scary?
From a visual standpoint, at this point, no. I think from a concept standpoint, it is scary because it's an entity that you really have limited ability to fight as it's in your dreams. I think that concept is phenomenal from like a terrifying standpoint. But when you see the visuals, especially when your first like clear look at them is this terribly stupid run, you drop the ball on that one, people.
Exactly. So the idea behind it, I agree, is scary. And then they drop the ball with the visual, which kills any tension. So immediately you're out of the movie. But yeah, going back to Tina's murder, that's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's quite over the top.
But it looks good. It looks really good. What about it did you think kind of elevated the film? Because there's a few things for me.
I don't know how to piece this out. Like, it's an awesome visual seeing her being essentially flung around with there no entity throwing her around. Yeah. I think it's heightened by the fact that she's got her boyfriend there and he's so confused in the corner trying to focus his eyes, but really there's nothing to focus his eyes to because it's not there, but even his brain can't comprehend what is going on. It's just a very well done scene.
Yeah, it's a very scary scene. Mm-hmm. Her spinning around the room. I love seeing her like being dragged up the wall and along the ceiling and then crashing onto the bed. And then Nancy and Glenn just bust open the bedroom door. They see Tina's corpse, but no Rod. Rod's just gone. Probably the worst thing he could have done, which I'll get to later. So, cut to the police station where we meet Nancy's parents, Lieutenant Don Thompson, played by John Saxon, who is in fucking every movie. And Marge Thompson, played by Ronnie Blakely. Played by is a loose term. She's so bad in this scene, man.
She's so bad in the whole movie. Yeah, I didn't want to get into it this early, but she is terrible.
This is some of the worst acting I've seen in a very long time.
Oh, there's one scene in specific that I'm going to have to harp on.
I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I don't remember her vices in this movie. I just thought she was absolutely terrible. But turns out she's just bad at playing an alcoholic, too. Like, she does look and act fucked up, but I don't know if that's actually acting. And Nancy seems surprisingly normal, really, when you look at her over-controlling police father and Quaalude mom. And then we just cut to the next morning. Mother-daughter talk. Yeah, mother-daughter talk, because that's a real thing. this addresses my problems with the Marge character right away. At least I believe so. Up until this point, it does change. Starting off the day with a nice glass of vodka.
She might have done a better acting job if they gave her real vodka to drink.
But another question. This movie poses so many questions to me, and they're all unintentional. Marge doesn't want Nancy to go to school, but she does anyway.
Yes.
Before leaving, Nancy takes a sip out of a mug that magically appears in her hand, and Marge definitely wants to get it away from her. Just takes it away. The glass of vodka is still on the counter. So what the fuck is in the mug? There's no coffee. There's no coffee yet.
It's coffee. It's got to be coffee.
Double vodka glasses. Side note, the music in the movie is fantastic. At any point, whenever there's music, it definitely catches my attention.
I'm glad you're clarifying as music.
Huh?
I'm glad you're clarifying music, because sound effects is not so hit.
Okay, please do tell.
There's so many sound effects that sound like they come from like a sci-fi comedy. It's like Freddy shows up.
I knew you were gonna.
It's like, what is this? What is this? What are you doing? Maybe this would fit if it was a clown killer or something, but it's just so bad. So bad.
The end of the movie, when Freddy like evaporates or disappears or whatever, looks like he's being beamed up to the Enterprise.
Yeah, the sound effects are terrible in this movie. The music is great, and the sound effects are bottom dollar. Seriously, I don't understand how they did so well in one sound department and so poorly in another.
Yeah, it's a bad mishmash. Did you find it strange when Nancy walks out of the house and there's just this dude looking at her?
Yeah, like obviously they're hinting at what is about to happen, but I'd like to go back for a minute.
Okay.
To the scene in the kitchen between mother and daughter. These are, in my opinion, objectively the worst performers in this movie. Putting them together in a scene that is supposed to have some level of emotion, frustration, anger, is such a bad idea. This scene made me want to smash my head through the window next to me.
Yeah. I think you're just in saying that too, because I do remember my dad setting me down and telling me, like, when he put the movie on, it's all make believe. These aren't real people. Nobody got hurt. It's just a story.
Even as a 4-year-old, you should have been like, I know these aren't real people.
Yes, that's exactly what I was getting at.
There's no way. You're not fooling a 4-year-old. These people are not real.
No fucking way.
It's so bad. And every time Nancy in this movie says, Mother, I just, oh, Freddie, you better get her.
I need to say something else about Nancy.
Okay.
Throughout the whole movie, close your fucking mouth. Just close your mouth. Because it's like, I don't mind her dialogue. I honestly don't. And I don't know if she is one of the worst. She's definitely very close. I don't mind her line delivery. She has a fantastic speaking voice. But when she's not talking, I feel like I can hear her breathing through her open mouth. It's like Corey Haim levels of shut your mouth. Just, it's bad. It's so bad. Anyway, sorry. Strange man watching her from the bushes. She doubles back to look around. He's gone. And then Rod appears out of nowhere and grabs Nancy, dragging her into the bushes. So, Rod claims he never touched Tina. I've got a problem with this statement.
Okay.
You definitely touched Tina, Rod.
You know the context.
I'm pretty sure you touched Tina everywhere. There are 2 witnesses to this. And somehow you also jumped out of a second-story window, fled the scene, and went into hiding. It's not a good look, Rod. It's not a good look.
But where was he hiding? He's still just like 2 houses down.
Yeah, he's still just wearing jeans and a jacket.
Yep.
Honestly, not that bad of a look. I can get behind it. But Lieutenant Dad shows up, and we discover that he was using his daughter as bait.
It's a good thing that her mom didn't convince her to stay home.
That's my problem. Also, he wasn't there when she left the house. He had no idea that she was going to leave the house. How does this plan exist? Where is this funding going? Cut to school and holy fuck, it's Lin Shaye, Sandro. I fucking love Lin Shaye. Like we already said, Detroit Rock City, Running Man. She was also in New Nightmare. I think a lot of people remember her and her prosthetics from There's Something About Mary. And it makes sense for her to be in this, though. Her brother's Bob Shaye, well-known producer, and he actually founded New Line Cinema, which makes these movies. It's referred to as the house that Freddy built because the Nightmare on Elm Street movies saved New Line from going bankrupt. But yeah, Bob Shaye did every Nightmare on Elm Street film as a producer, executive producer. Hairspray, the remake, all the Lord of the Rings films, Critters 1 and 2, Extra. Dude's a legend. So, I mean, the movie's got some pedigree to it. But that's just film nerd shit. Let's go on to Nancy's Nightmare.
Okay.
So it's the school scene, of course. Starting off with Tina in a body bag, calling her name. Looks dope.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's some of the best special effects in the movie, and they're very simplistic.
Mm-hmm.
Topped only by Tina's corpse in the hallway being dragged away by an unseen force. In my opinion, the most disturbing scene in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Any comments on this nightmare yet?
I do like how they transition to the nightmares.
Yeah.
It is definite, like, how do I describe it? You know that it's going into a nightmare, but they transition it well, right? I don't know, with the sound effects they have, you almost think they would do a star wipe, but it's actually done very smooth.
I mean, you're right. It does sound like that. I'm sorry, continue.
I have nothing else to say. I don't know.
All right, so we get the hall monitor. Why?
Because Freddy changes forms.
Yeah. It's not scary. It doesn't add anything to the scene. I guess I really am nitpicking this thing apart.
I would have rather that the hall monitor was Freddy, but like basked in shadows so you couldn't see it. Maybe just a little bit of light on the sweater.
Yeah. I like that more. Again, get writing, dude. So she follows the trail of blood into the basement, as you do. But the basement turns into the boiler room setting from before. Again, I fucking love that.
Dream or not, if I see my dead friend in the middle of the hallway being dragged away, following it is not my first reaction in any realm of existence.
A lot of this movie does not make sense. I mean, we have to state that right now. It doesn't. Like, this movie has to follow a ridiculous plot to get us to the ending. None of this is sensible. Freddy chases her. She wakes herself up by burning her arm on a steam pipe. Now,
that makes sense. You know, when you're sleeping and you get that feeling of falling or something like that, you generally wake up. So, quick thinking. I'm not against that idea.
You're not? Because this is a massive problem for me.
Okay.
If self-harm in a dream can snap you out of it, why doesn't being stabbed do the same?
You could argue that they are being wakened from the dream, but they're already being killed.
Yeah, but...
Besides, Freddy doesn't seem to be confined to the dream world entirely, so that's out the window.
Yeah, a main part of the story they abandon.
Mm-hmm.
And you just... I mean, it's hard to take seriously in the first fucking place. Once you realize the filmmakers have given up, you're like, why do I care?
Oh yeah, just try to get into the whole idea of the rules of bringing Freddy out of the dream. Apparently they can just grab him and bring him out, but all of the other physical contact of him murdering them, where they're clearly touching, doesn't bring him out of it. But okay, cool.
Yeah, and it's something that they revisit later in the series. But my problem here is, like, the story is such a fucking mess. How did we get 8 more? How? How did Freddy save anything?
I don't know.
Okay, sorry. I don't think that's a nitpick, but that is a massive problem that I haven't heard anybody else talk about. Anyway, after a short breakdown outside of the school, Nancy realizes she's actually suffered the burn from her dream. And okay, I like that. It makes Freddy's power seem scary. I don't know how much influence he had, but it seems like once Freddy's in your dream, physical injury is a thing. And that's scary to me.
Like, trying to explain it is not going to work.
No.
But the idea that they need to portray that there is a transference of injuries and things like that does make sense. You have to introduce that to present the threat level that we're working with.
Yeah. One part very well done. Next part coming up, not very well done. So Nancy's immediate thought is to go visit Rod in jail. There's no way she's getting in there to talk to him. There's no fucking chance.
She's the police chief's daughter?
Lieutenant, not chief. Lieutenant.
Yeah, I didn't pay
There's
that much
no
attention.
way she's getting in there.
No, she's totally getting in there.
Well, apparently, because she does. Her reaction to Rod's explanation of what he witnessed makes no sense.
No, because he essentially affirms what she believes.
Yeah.
And then doesn't believe him.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean you didn't see him? What do you mean cuts just appeared? And all I could see was being like, fuck, I don't know. Explain that burn on your arm.
The
exact same thing.
This is what you came for. You clearly came for the reassurance of the theory that you had. And then I think there's even a part where he's like, you believe me that I didn't do it. And she doesn't say, yeah, I believe you, because she should. She absolutely should at this point. This is what you came here for.
There is no reason for her not to believe at this point. And she's actively obstructing her own investigation.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that Rod reveal. Sorry, go ahead.
The only argument you could maybe have is that she's still technically in denial, but that's a stretch.
It is. That's definitely reaching for an excuse to cover that up.
Mm-hmm.
Rod revealing that he's also had the nightmares. I do enjoy that. I really like that the teens are experiencing the same thing in their dreams. Like, I think in later movies they call it like a weird mass hypnosis or something like that. But the fact that everyone's dreams are linked, I've always found interesting, and it really is a saving grace to a broken film here.
I don't really have an issue with them all having dreams about Freddy. I don't understand how randomly they're in each other's dreams.
I hadn't really thought about that.
Like, there's a scene later in the movie where Glenn is supposed to be on lookout, and she's like, are you here? And he's like, yeah, I'm here. And he's behind a tree really poorly or something like that.
Oh, it looks awful.
It looks awful.
But
it's like,
I don't think Glenn's asleep at that point, is he?
Pardon?
Glenn's not even asleep when that happens.
I don't know. Because he's asleep by the time she wakes up from that dream. But
yes,
how is he interacting with her? How is he in her dream? None of that makes sense.
No. And again, I go to part 3 because it feels like part 3, they took everything they wanted to do in the first movie and had refined it enough to where the majority of it makes sense. So I'm a firm believer that 3 is the best of the series for reasons like that.
Okay.
But next up, we get the bathtub scene.
Okay.
What's your take on the bathtub scene? First of all, actually, have you ever fallen asleep in the bathtub?
No, sir.
You ever fall asleep in a shower?
No, sir. Usually those things wake me up. It's water on my face.
I highly recommend having a shower nap.
What? Really?
Yeah. It's like drifting off in hot rain.
Until I fall and conk my head off something.
No, you fucking lay down.
What?
Yes, you lay down. Lay down in the shower and fall asleep to a hot shower. It's much better than falling asleep in a hot puddle.
So back to the scene. You were asking what my impressions of it were, and I was going to say, for good or bad, it's an iconic scene.
Yes. the shot of Freddy's glove breaching the water between Nancy's legs.
Yeah, obviously, great camera angle, probably done to mask the necessary effects to just have it from that angle, but like super well done.
Technically, it's a brilliant shot, but not only like the camera angle itself, the vulnerability that scene poses to a character is insanity. It's so effective, and it's followed up with that. Probably one of the most amazing underwater shots I've seen of her being pulled under from the tub.
I love it because she gets pulled under and then all of a sudden it's this giant space.
Yeah.
Where they could have just made it where it's like, oh, she's literally just submerged in the tub. But it really feels like she's being pulled into her dream world.
Into an abyss.
They're switching to this underwater scene that just the way they filmed it looks like it's infinite. It's very well done.
Yes, very, very well done. So Nancy's screaming, as one does. Screaming for her mother, who eventually picks the lock of the door with a coat hanger, because that works. And her excuse for screaming is that she slipped getting out of the tub.
She is extended yelling for help.
Yeah.
Like, not just like Mom! Right? Like, it's just ongoing. How long were you slipping? You just see this scene from like the Three Stooges where she's sliding back and forth trying to gain her balance. Like, this is so stupid. And then, of course, what does she do? Her mom, being an idiot, as pretty much every adult in this movie is a complete moron, accepts what she says, because apparently they just don't know how to understand their kids are clearly lying, walks away, and she's like, you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to lock the door again.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind that Marge is wasted.
I don't care. I don't.
Yeah. It just... Also, Nancy comes across quite a bitch in this scene, I have to say.
In this scene? There's a lot of parts of this movie where she comes off not so swell.
I disagree.
All right.
But she makes it sound like Marge is overreacting. I'm like, I get it. Marge is a detestable character. She was trying to help her daughter who was screaming for her life.
Yeah, how dare she respond to screams of angst.
What a dick move. Okay, so Sandra, we have a new plan now.
Okay.
Caffeine pills to stay awake.
Yeah, that's a great plan because, you know, you can do that forever.
Hot tip. Those things fuck you up, man. My drive to Connecticut was an adventure with those things.
Dude, I don't need you to tell me about it. I saw it in this documentary where this group of friends had 3 girls join an all-girls singing group. And then she was taking caffeine pills to stay awake for a test. And it was just so well done. I learned a very valuable lesson that day.
I'm so confused because I want to say you're talking about Saved by the Bell, but I don't remember any of this. It's like you just intertwined a bunch of different stories.
It's all the same Saved by the Bell. Go back and watch it. Zach Morris is a jerk.
I thought is it Jesse?
Yeah.
I thought, Jesse Spano. I thought it was all about her having to study. I didn't realize it was like a girl group.
Because she's pulling all that extra time being in the girls singing group with Lisa and Kelly.
Oh, I missed that. That's dumb.
Yeah. And then Zach's putting pressure on her to do the girl group because it'll make him money, and she needs to study. Because Zach Morris is trash.
No, he's not. A wonderful, upstanding young man. Evil Dead appearance on the TV. Sam Raimi and Wes Craven would do this a couple of times, always acknowledging each other's work. I enjoy that. And then we see what Wes Craven would eventually copy in another one of his films of Glenn sneaking through Nancy's window, much like Billy does Sydney's window in Scream.
Keep referencing the episode that never made it.
Yeah, I'm going to. It's good. Glenn agrees to watch over Nancy while she sleeps, and her plan is to visit imprisoned Rod in her dreams. Why? What is she going to get out of that?
She thinks he's going to be the next victim, I believe, and she wants to save him. I don't know why she thinks that, but that's the impression I got.
Yeah, and this is where you brought up that she's still communicating with Glenn while she's asleep and he's not. question here for me also is, just because Nancy's asleep doesn't mean Rod's asleep. So what's going on there?
He might have fallen asleep at that point because when she does eventually come back from this dream, he is sleeping and she's mad at him for it.
No.
Then why wouldn't she question why she can see him in her dream?
No, I mean Rod in prison.
Oh, sorry.
We have no reason to believe he would be sleeping.
Well, it's the nighttime. And he's in prison. What else is he going to do? He also doesn't have the same information that she has to try and avoid sleeping.
Well, he's... Okay, fine. We'll just go with it. I have so many problems with this movie. But yeah, Freddy enters the cell knowing that Nancy's watching. And we're treated to probably the slowest chase scene I have ever watched. I really do enjoy, like, as he's chasing Nancy upstairs. I love that weird, like, soupy, sticky staircase. I think that was a really good effect. It
looks like marshmallow.
It really does. Also, Freddy's weak as fuck.
Don't get me started on Freddy.
And I go into this later on in the movie, like, Home Alone levels of getting fucked up in this movie.
Oh, dude.
He's not scary.
You're taking away so many phrases that I had intended to save later. Like when Nancy starts her home defense.
Oh, yeah.
Literally all I thought was, okay. And that's why I was thinking Home Alone Furnace, because I had it fresh in my mind. I'm like, all right, got to defend the house from the wet bandits.
Yeah. It really is the same thing. Only Freddy actually gets fucked up. So the alarm clock goes off. It wakes up both Nancy and Glenn. And Glenn gets blamed for everything. So you're right, actually. The more I get into this, the worse Nancy is.
Mm-hmm.
I get he's supposed to watch her. And I understand why she's angry. But let me play devil's advocate here.
No. I want to play devil's advocate.
Okay, let's go for it.
Maybe if she wanted him to stay awake, she could have filled him in on any of the information that he was asking her.
Yeah.
She tells, I need you to stay watch. I got to go see someone. Which I guess she's referring to Rod in that moment. And he's, why? What are you talking about? And she did, I don't have time to explain. I said, you have all the time in the world because you don't have to do any of this until you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Don't blame him for you refusing to give him any information and just babbling at him like you're a psychopath.
Yeah. Like, other points, man. It's late at night. Glenn turns off the TV. Nancy makes him turn out the light and just watch her sleep in the dark. We don't know.
Let me just set the mood for you staying awake.
Yeah. We don't know how long she's been asleep. It could have been hours.
Yeah.
It gets boring. And he's a shithead for nodding off. I'm Team Glenn here.
I'm totally Team Glenn.
So Nancy and Glenn head to the prison to see Rod. Lieutenant Dad, as I've been calling him throughout this entire episode, has one of the most ridiculous quotes of the entire film.
All right, lay it on me.
They're trying to see him. He won't let them in because there's an unsolved murder and I don't like unsolved murders. Yeah, that's your fucking job. Figure it out. If you did like unsolved murders, you wouldn't be Lieutenant Dad, I'm quite sure.
That's the worst police chief ever.
Sandro, you're killing me here. You're killing me. Between you and this cough, I don't think I'm going to make it.
It should have been that when she woke up from that dream, if she was going to get mad at Glenn for anything, that he wasn't there. Just further that he might be the killer plot.
There really are no red herrings in this movie.
No, none whatsoever.
So
from the very beginning, you see Freddy making the glove, and of course, you don't see who it is, but they don't try to hide it.
No. There's really not even much of a mystery in this movie, even though they try and play it off as there being like a big reveal. You're like, well, it's not really a reveal if it doesn't really matter to the story.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter until later in the series.
Don't get me started on the reveal.
Yeah. Okay. So Freddy strangles Rod with his bed sheets, making it look like a suicide. And I have a hot take here. I think Freddy Krueger killed Epstein.
Okay.
Don't blame me, I'm sick. After Rod's funeral, Nancy tells her parents about the man she sees in her dreams. Some decent acting here. The reactions from both parents, both recognizing whom she's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You sound unimpressed.
I can't defend the acting of one of these parents. I'm not going to tell you which.
You can talk about the acting. I want to focus on the reasoning.
Okay.
Because Marge is obviously wasted, as always in the film. But
now we know why.
Lieutenant Dad is fine with her driving Nancy home. Like, this is the worst police officer ever.
Yeah, how did he become the police chief?
You're fucking with me, man. These little... I mean, good on you. They're good jabs, but god damn it. So we cut to the Katya Institute for the Study of Sleep Disorders. I find it hard to believe this massive building exists for this sole purpose.
This is hilarious. Where he tells her to, the police chief tells the mom to take her home. She's like, "No, I'm going to do something about this," and this is her plan. Like, this is so bad.
And it gets worse because Nancy tells these sleep doctors she just wants a pill to stop her from dreaming. And the doctor straight up tells her, if you don't dream, you go.
That sounds scientific.
What? What do you mean you go?
You die.
Where's that report? How did I miss that bit of news?
Okay, the die was a bit of a jump. I think that he implies or perhaps makes the hand gesture that you go insane if you don't dream.
Is that true?
Well, that was where my sarcastic comment of that sounds scientific came from.
I took it the exact same. I took it like the way, like the gravity he gives that is like, if you don't dream, you're dead.
I'm pretty sure it's you go insane.
I know. That's what it's implied or supposed to imply, but that's not how it comes across.
If you don't sleep, you're going to die. I don't know about dreaming.
It's a ridiculous way to cover up a plot hole.
Well, I mean, at least they tried with this plot hole.
They did try.
Many of the other ones, they just left them there.
Yeah. Also, the doctor, Charles Fleischer, I have to say, like we talked about in Demon Knight, I still find it crazy. He's the voice of Roger Rabbit. So they force her into a dream state to monitor her. And what happens? A crazy, violent nightmare. And somehow the doctors don't know what's happening? Isn't that their job?
Why is this in the movie?
I don't know.
Because, like, the doctor even has the most blatant setup liners. Like, oh, it never really goes above or below 2 or 3. And then, it starts going high and it's like 30 or something like that. And it's, oh, no. It's like, we get it. We know the severity of this. Why is this scene in the movie at all?
Yeah, it's like we don't need secondary characters whom we never see again to be informed about what's going on for their benefit. Because they don't play any role in the film.
Guess they just want to try and showcase somewhat that there's no helping this person? I don't know.
Well, they shake her awake, which doesn't seem like the medical thing to do.
Don't they say don't, like, wake up sleepwalkers? I have to imagine this is quite a bit worse considering the readings you're getting on your monitor there, buddy.
I would agree. But when she does wake up, she's got that long gray streak from fear. I dig that. I dug it in Evil Dead 2 with Ash as well.
I'm fairly certain all she really did was absorb Miss Marvel's powers here, buddy.
Yeah, okay. First thought they have, give her an injection to knock her out again.
That worked so well the first time. Really? Good idea. Good on you.
We need to put her to sleep. Oh my God, wake her up and knock her out now. They also don't seem to care that she woke up with slashes on her arm.
No, or a hat in her hand.
Yeah, well, Marge is rather distraught over the fact that she brought back Freddy's hat.
Mm-hmm.
And she should be distraught. Nobody else cares. Nobody else notices this.
Or even question, like, how did she get that?
Yeah.
Clearly, it wasn't in the bed.
It's not standard hospital issued fedora. So the next day, Nancy overhears her mother talking about the hat. So Nancy confronts Marge, and the reaction is, I don't know where you really found it or what you're trying to prove. What? Fuck does that mean?
I don't know.
So Nancy says that Rod didn't kill Tina and that he didn't hang himself. The movie tells us this is fact, but if it didn't, this would sound like a crazy teenager. So I get it. But the parents, we come to learn, know that this is fact and are just gaslighting their kids for no obvious reason.
There is so much of people knowing things in this movie and just denying them.
I know. I know.
You can't.
This movie is fucked up.
The solution by everyone in this movie is just essentially, let's hope it goes away.
This movie is considered to be a classic, Sandro.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I don't know.
I mean, Freddy looks cool.
Yeah.
He's not scary.
Well,
he's not even funny in this one.
No. There is nothing funny about this one.
Yeah. Okay. Another question for you.
Oh, geez.
Nancy confronts Marge about the hat and how it has Freddy's name written in it. Who does that? Do you write your name inside a hat? Was like Freddy worried that somebody might mistake his fedora for theirs?
I don't know.
Okay, well, big reveal comes up next. Marge knows about Fred Krueger, specifically that he's dead.
Because she killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we know why she drinks so much. She murdered a dude.
Exactly. I like that reasoning. I really do. But this woman has taken it to a level which I have never seen.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, Nancy and Glenn talk about Balinese dream skills.
This scene does not need to be here.
No, it doesn't. But it does raise a question for me. Not about the movie, just a personal question for yourself. Have you had an experience of lucid dreaming?
I don't remember my dreams too well if it's past like the first hour of waking up. So
okay,
maybe.
I have one from maybe 15 years ago that has stuck with me.
Okay.
It's late at night. I'm in a forest. It's a full moon. I'm being chased by a werewolf, as you do.
Okay.
It's probably 20 or so feet behind me and is gaining. I'm running, and I get to a lake. So I'm at the shore, and then it pops into my mind like, oh yeah, I'm sleeping. I'm like, if I have to fight a werewolf or get into water, I'm going to take my chances with this werewolf.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, this is my dream. I'm pretty sure I come out on top here. So I turn around and charge it. And the thing has a full-on fucking panic attack. It books it in the opposite direction, and I wake up.
All right, then.
Lucid dreaming. I love it. Nancy returns home to find all the windows of the house now have bars, and the bottom half of the trellis has been removed.
How did they do that so quickly?
That is a question I had. It seems impossible, but whatever. It's also not the worst idea for Marge. I think she actually had a great idea. She doesn't understand what's happening. She just knows that bits of her past are coming back, and she's terrified for her daughter. So she's going to do whatever she can to make sure that she's safe.
I mean, she knows that something has to do with the dreams, as she was there at the doctor's hospital with her. But yeah sure, bars will help.
But when Nancy questions her, Marge tells her to join her in the cellar, and she'll tell her the truth. Strong murder vibes here. We're going to keep everybody outside. Come hang out in the basement with me. I got a story to tell you. No. Fuck off, Mom. I'm not doing that. But we do get the
you're not terrified enough already.
Yeah. We get Freddy's story here. A child murderer killed more than 20 kids. Originally, he was a child molester, but they changed it because of a string of the same unfortunate crimes happening in California at the time when the movie is being written.
Okay.
but Freddy was caught due to police error. They were forced to release him. So the parents cornered him in a boiler room and burnt him alive. We also get the reveal that Marge took his glove. But why? Why hang on to that?
Why did he already have the glove?
Huh?
Why did he already have the glove?
Because he's a child murderer. That's how he would kill the kids.
All right, I guess he just decided to make a glove like that to do it.
Yep, exactly.
All right, my bad.
He didn't need to make the glove to kill people in their dreams. But seriously, like, if that... Okay. That's his murder weapon to kill these children.
Okay.
Assuming he stashed it. The police never found it. That's a pretty big piece of that puzzle to convict him. Why then, as a parent, would you remove that murder weapon and stash it in your own basement instead of turning it over to the police?
You know, if you turn it over to the police, he'll go to jail. You can't murder him yourself.
Yeah. It does. Okay, you're right. A lot of this movie just doesn't make sense.
Second plot twist. She was the killer all along.
Fucking give me that. I'd be okay with that. So Nancy's plan.
Mm-hmm.
Bring Freddy out of her dreams into the real world and have Glenn knock him out. Because that's a solid plan.
I love how she has no evidence that will work other than she brought a hat back with her. So it must be that I can bring this entire being here who's clearly got some sort of magical powers that I don't comprehend.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Glenn's crop top. That's a choice.
It's pretty common for the 80s, unfortunately.
It really is. It looks hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
On a more serious note.
Okay.
I wish we got more of the parents' stories. Like Glenn's dad standing on the front step, drinking a beer and staring at Nancy's window is super creepy.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes so much sense. I think it really would have added to the film to have at least a character whose kid was one of Freddy's victims. Because right now, all we know is a group of people who were unaffected by what Freddy did killed him.
Mm-hmm.
How about we bring in some characters who were part of that mob?
All you had to do...
Who actually lost their children. Do you know how much more serious that makes this movie?
It also ties into a more believable reason as to why Nancy's mom killed Freddy and was drinking all the time.
Yes.
She lost a child.
You're making it better and better, man.
Mm-hmm.
The phone scene. That's all I have written for that. You want to talk about this?
No.
Always hated it. It just looks bad. It looks terrible. Although it does have one of the better lines of the film. So Glenn dies.
Okay, can we talk about this for a minute?
I expect to talk about it for more than a minute, but go ahead.
Okay, a different point. Prior to the actual death.
Yep.
How old are these kids?
No older than 17.
But no younger than...
30.
Well, no, because they're in high school, right?
Yeah. So I'd say 15 to 17, 14 to 17, depending on like what district and country we're talking about.
Now, I know you have issues with your memory, but I'm going to ask you to try and reflect back to your high school days.
Yeah.
Did you ever have difficulty staying awake until midnight when you were in high school?
Never.
Why is this such a struggle for Glenn?
I don't know.
And then he falls asleep, even though he's got a TV on, headphones on, whatever, fine. His mom comes in.
Oh, I love this part.
And she's like, wake up. Go back to sleep. That's the entire thing. She comes in and wakes him up because he's clearly asleep to tell him to go to sleep.
Yeah. I like that she calls him out on listening to records while watching TV. How he can't hear anything anyway. Even
still, as a parent, I would imagine that you go in and you just kind of like, oh, I'll turn the TV and the record player off, leave him sleeping, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Put a blanket over him. Not wake him up to tell him to go to sleep. It's the stupidest thing I saw. What are you doing?
That's the stupidest?
Okay, fine. I'm
There are
getting
more-
carried away. But there's a lot of stupidest things in this.
Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. The stupidest. Glenn's death. Probably my favorite death in the movie. Pulled down through the bed and followed up with a geyser of blood. So much blood that's dripping through the living room ceiling.
I like the visual of it. Doesn't seem to fit the MO of Freddy at this point.
Not at all. It's very, very campy, over the top. That's too much blood for a human body.
That's probably the biggest issue, because why is there so much blood? Most of the murders that Freddy conducts are because, like, not Nancy. What was the original character's name that we thought
Tina.
was the lady? Tina. She gets flung around and things like that, and obviously there's a supernatural element to it, but it doesn't fabricate things in her that weren't there before. This is way too much blood.
It is. I love how the coroner can't even handle it and is just getting sick.
Oh yeah, just like throwing up, right?
Yeah, and they're like, get a body bag. You're like, no, you don't need that. Just get a mop.
Mm-hmm.
Lieutenant Dad's on the scene, though.
Yeah.
And Nancy's new plan is for him to break into her house in 20 minutes and stop Freddy.
Break into your own house?
Well, it's not his house. He doesn't live there.
Isn't that his dad? Wait, what did I
Parents
confuse?
are separated, dude.
Are they?
Didn't you wonder who the strange man was, like, hanging out with Marge at the beginning?
No.
Wait, that was Tina's parents. I'm pretty sure that Nancy's parents are divorced.
I did not get that.
I got that.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
So we're getting to the Home Alone part of the movie now.
Oh, this is so bad.
I like it.
I'm watching this, and
There's no way she'd be able to do any of this, but I like it.
there's no way she'd be able to do any of it. But at the same time, I'm thinking, why would you believe that any of this would be effective?
Why would you believe you could do all of this and go to sleep and get Freddy out of your dreams in 20 minutes?
I don't know.
But it works.
Why?
Miraculously, the plan works.
How?
She goes to sleep and drags Freddy into the real world. And these traps fuck him up.
The one with him coming through the door and the hammer swinging.
Let's talk about that door. He's fucking with that door forever. This is not a scary dream demon because he's stopped by a tiny lock on a bedroom door. He's just shaking that doorknob back and forth. He's not even slamming against the wall. It's like he's confused as to what's going on.
Yeah.
So he eventually opens the door, triggering a sledgehammer perched above it, which just slams him in the gut. He's completely fucked up by this and falls over the banister and rolls down the stairs. There is no shred of this guy being scary anymore. You can't take him seriously. And he's not supposed to be comedic yet. They have fucking castrated this character. It's insane. But one element I do love,
Okay.
is the sheer terror Freddy exudes when Nancy sets him on fire. Because the look at his face is like, fuck, not again. And this body burn is terrifying.
I mean,
the stuntman.
Sorry, go ahead.
The stuntman running up the stairs is leaving a trail of fire behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And then gets hit and falls back down those stairs. I was actually scared for the performer. It looked fantastic.
Scariest part of the movie, I was worried about the stunt double.
Yeah, basically. So Lieutenant Dan arrives, but somehow Freddy's already made it upstairs and is strangling Marge, who just vanishes into the bed. I would love for you to explain that one to me.
I can't. I really can't.
This is the major confusion from this point on out. So Freddy returns, and Nancy tells him she knows his secret. This whole thing is a dream and Freddy isn't alive. But you just dragged him into the real world and he killed your mother. So did he go back to the sleep realm? Can he just do that whenever? Did Nancy go to sleep and that's how they're talking now? How does Nancy know that her fear gives him power? Should Wes Craven have written screenplays? These are all questions.
There was the scene where her and Glenn were talking about the dreams. Glenn does mention that they theorize that that's where they get their power from, but it's not prominent enough to
I do remember
like
that
an aha moment at this point.
Yeah. And again, they perfect this in later movies. They make it a point to state that is where he gets his power, is from his victim's fear. So Freddy lunges at Nancy, but dissolves because he's now powerless. And then we get this giant ass fuck you ending. I've always hated this ending. You want to take over here?
No, I don't.
Let us know what happened.
Bit.
Let us know what happened, Sandro.
Nancy goes downstairs, sees her mom as she's leaving. Her friends, who are somehow not dead, come pick her up in a car. She gets in and the roof closes and it's got Freddy's stripes on it and they drive away screaming and her mom is oblivious to it all in the movie.
Well, you've missed a few things.
But
for the most part, yes. So, right off the bat, Marge is like, I'm just not going to drink anymore. Once you can't remember the night before, you've hit rock bottom. Like,
as soon as
that's not how it works.
As soon as she said that, I'm like, this is a dream.
Yeah, exactly. But we also get the jump rope girls and that stupid fucking song. But the worst part of the ending for me is the last shot that we actually get. Because after the car drives off at a very slow speed with the kids inside, Freddy's arm bursts through the window of the door and grabs a hold of Marge, which is very obviously a dummy, a poorly made dummy, and pulls it through that window. So, whose dream is this? Is it Nancy's? Is it Marge's? Everyone's? Is Marge alive? Why is Marge in this dream? This needs to be explained, or else it's a complete throwaway of an ending.
Keep asking those questions. You will receive the answer to exactly none of them.
Yeah, because it just cuts to black, and we roll credits. And my last note here just says, fuck. What a weak ending to a mediocre film.
Oh.
I don't remember hating this movie. And I'm not going to say I hate it now. I don't remember disliking this movie to the point that I do at this exact moment.
Okay.
But, I mean, I love Wes Craven. And even his poor movies, I tend to enjoy. So I'm wondering if maybe I'm just not in the right frame of mind to enjoy Nightmare on Elm Street recently.
I think your love for Wes Craven really comes through in our Scream episode.
It really did. It really did. Let's go into the numbers here.
Okay.
Because I say I didn't like it, but the numbers may show you something different. What do you think the budget was?
84. 3 million.
1.1.
Okay.
That's they did some great shit for 1.1 million. The gross?
60.
Remember, this isn't a franchise yet.
60.
Extremely close. 57 million.
Wow. On a 1 million budget, I can tell you why it got sequels.
Yeah. And we get into the ratings.
Okay.
This is why I know I'm wrong. But what do you think the ratings are? What do they give it on IMDb?
7.8.
7.4.
Oof, okay.
The critics at Rotten Tomatoes is a number that stunned me.
91.
95.
What? That's like the highest we've seen.
Yeah. Yeah. Audience score?
81.
84. Year of the movie.
Oh, okay.
Would you have rated this a 7.4 out of 10?
Nope.
An 8.4 out of 10.
Nope.
A 9.5
Nope.
out of 10? Yeah, same page. Let's get into these awards.
Alrighty. So we have 0 awards from Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
I'm starting to think I know why he picked this movie for us.
Well, up until covering this movie for the show, going in and rewatching and doing notes and everything, I had fond memories of it. I really did.
Okay.
But I'm starting to think it's more so the franchise that I have fond memories of, and not a particular film outside of 3.
Okay.
Yeah. But awards.
Who did you have for your least favorite character?
Marge.
Okay.
Ronnie Blakely. I get the character is supposed to be stunted. I just found her incredibly annoying, and I don't think we're supposed to. I think we're supposed to find her somewhat mysterious and sympathetic. But I've also felt the performance just didn't provide any of that. The script is there. The lines were there. They just weren't performed properly. And it's a character that it felt lacking and could have been done so much better. You?
Same, but it's entirely based on one of the worst performances I've seen on our show. It is terrible. And Heather Langenkamp missed getting the worst by a hair simply because of this existence. In any other situation, I think that it would have been Heather, but this is just beyond terrible.
Yeah. What about favorite character?
This was a bit of a coin flip, but I had John Saxon as Commissioner Thompson.
Lieutenant Dad?
I actually have Lieutenant Thompson written down for my award. I've just been saying the wrong thing the entire time.
I'm well aware.
Okay. The first few times was unintentional.
I don't believe you.
No, seriously, it was.
All right. But really, John Saxon, I mean, John Saxon's great and everything, so I get that.
I think the biggest thing is that there's a number of characters that had moments in this movie where they did a pretty good job. And he didn't have, say, the heights that any other character had, but he had the most consistent, stable performance from start to finish. Mm-hmm. That it was very reliable, and it was almost like an anchor when you saw him on camera for that scene in particular.
It did feel like he belonged in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You?
Oh, we're going to disagree, bud.
Okay.
I picked Nancy as my favorite character.
Okay.
And not favorite performance. Don't get me wrong there. Favorite character, because I fully believe this is how a teenage girl would act if she found herself in this scenario. Trying to make the right choices. You fucking kid, you're going to get things wrong. But still try and save her friends, try and work with her friends, try and inform her parents, let people know what's going on. I thought it was realistic for a completely unrealistic film. So, Heather Langenkamp, I mean, she became a much better actor, but she was just younger then, inexperienced. I just found the character really enjoyable, except like I said, same thing with Corey Haim. If you're not talking, please close your mouth. No comments to that one. I thought you'd be annoyed with that choice.
I mean, I already shared. I don't have anything else.
Wow. Okay.
What did you have for your favorite or most memorable line?
It's not favorite. It's most memorable. And it is from the phone scene that we didn't really talk about.
Okay.
And it's just Freddie saying, "I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy." In the tone he says it in that voice, because Robert Englund nails that voice. It's a really good performance. But it's just a disturbing line and a really good representation of Freddie's perversion and the threat that he poses. Okay. It stands out for me. You?
Okay. You had already referenced this line, but after Glenn's death, the paramedics are talking. You don't even see which ones. It's kind of done off camera for some reason. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't necessarily fit the tone of the movie, but the one says, and I write it down so, per quote.
Verbatim.
Yeah. "You won't need a stretcher up there. You'll need a mop."
It's good. It's a funny line.
It is. It doesn't necessarily fit the movie too well, but it very much speaks volumes about what's going on in the movie. So I like that.
Yeah, it definitely does not fit, but I could easily see why you chose that one. Memorable scene.
It's just a moment.
Oh.
It's Nancy going into the hallway, seeing Tina's body laying in the hall, and then her legs just lift, and she gets dragged away as if something's pulling her, but you don't see anything.
It's amazing.
That image was so well done and so haunting, and just the fact, like, if she was just pulled away, I think it wouldn't be that impactful. But the way that her legs just lift up as if somebody's holding them and then she gets pulled away was chilling. This movie shows that it can do some things right, and it just trips over itself, but that is one that they knocked out of the park.
Yeah, it is probably the best shot in the movie. And I would say that's also my favorite shot of the movie. But when someone says A Nightmare on Elm Street, the first thing I think of is not Freddy Krueger. It's Glenn's death being pulled down through that bed. I love that scene. Glenn's death scene is fantastic. It's by far most memorable. It stands up more than anything else in the movie for me.
Yeah, but there's so much blood, and you don't see any pieces of the TV that went in with him. It doesn't.
Or the record player.
Yeah, like, well, come on. There should have been some mechanical parts in there, too.
No.
No, Freddy's building a collection.
Freddy's hanging on to that. He's building an entertainment center.
It's going to be a good record player.
What are
All right, so what
Audio Technicas?
What are your final thoughts on A Nightmare on Elm Street?
I am not a fan of Freddy Krueger as a horror icon. I'm much more... My favorite slasher is Michael Myers. My favorite slasher franchise is Friday the 13th. Freddy just never did it for me, man. I don't get why people find him scary. I mean, they even turned him basically into a clown in other movies. It's just... I never really found this entire series overly memorable. It's just kind of muddled. There's some great shots like you talked about, like Tina's corpse being dragged down the hallway of the high school. Looks great, but there's a lot of this movie that's really forgettable. Freddy's not really in it that much, which you get in most like first films in horror franchises. I get that. But
I mean, look at the first Friday the 13th. They made
Jason's
a great movie.
not even in it.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's a great film. This is not a great film. It's serviceable, but it's lacking. It's lacking a lot. And I mean, I think we could have a really interesting conversation over the things that this movie isn't that it actually wanted to be. But it's a recommend if you've never seen it before. But if it's a movie you've seen way back when and you're thinking about revisiting it, just don't bother. You? What do you think?
I'm convinced that all of these high marks that this movie received, these people stopped watching after the first hour.
Yeah.
Because this movie starts off really well, despite the plot holes, despite the bad sound effects, despite the poor imaging of Freddy that you get early in the movie. It's done very well, keeps you intrigued, and it's a very good premise that has you wondering how they're going to overcome it. It's like the last half hour, the movie creators just threw their hands up and were like, I don't know. Play the Benny Hill music. Let's just do a Home Alone contraption scene. Let's make Freddy look completely weak. Let's not try to wrap up or explain any of the stuff that we've been building up for the last hour. The last half hour of this movie just ruins the experience for me.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I
wouldn't recommend it. I don't understand. I'm with you. I don't understand how this became such a popular franchise.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's a shame. I mean, I'm glad it exists because there are parts of other movies in the franchise that are quite enjoyable. It also cemented Craven in mainstream horror as opposed to indie horror before. Like he has done some pretty intense, disturbing films. So I don't know how this movie saved New Line Cinema. I really don't. But there are people out there who love this, and we just don't get it, man. So to the people out there listening who actually enjoyed this movie, more fucking power to you. Recommend some more stuff that you like that you think we might not or haven't really encountered yet, because I'm really curious. I don't know why this movie did so well. But hey, Robert Englund, man, it gave us him for years and years to come.
Yay.
You really hate this movie.
I think the problem is that I really liked it at first. And then it just drops the ball down so severely. Because, in the first hour, I could see all the flaws, and I didn't care. I was enjoying it. And then that last half hour, I was like, wow, as a movie, you did not respect my time up until now because you just crapped all over it.
It sure did.
So... anyway, those are our thoughts on A Nightmare on Elm Street. If you guys want to share your thoughts, hit us up on social media. You can always find us on Twitter at BSBargainBin, Facebook.com/BSBargainBin, BSBargainBin.com, which also has a handy link to our merch section. You can grab a t-shirt, help us out. We love it, no matter what. Ben.
Yo.
What are we doing next week, buddy?
You tell me, man. It's your pick next week.
Oh, you're right. All right, so I have a bunch of movies here. 2 of them are action movies. One of them I've seen before. None of this information is relevant at all, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the years that these movies are attributed as coming out in IMDb, and you tell me what movie we're doing based on the year it came out.
Yeah, all right.
94, 98, 2000, 2004.
Let's go 94.
All right, so we are going to be doing the movie that my dad has been asking us to review for quite some time. We are watching 1994's No Escape.
I want to see prisoner 2675. I run a multinational business here, Mr. Robbins. Basically, I take human garbage from around the world and I reprocess it. You will have no future contact with the outside world. No visitors, no phone calls, no letters. For all intents and purposes, you're dead. Was there anything you wanted to add?
Don't ever turn your back on me again. Prisoner 2675 has been delivered, sir. Welcome to Vacation Paradise. Enjoy.
I could use a man like you.
We appear to have an opening.
And what if I say no?
That would be very disappointing.
Bye. Sir, prisoner 2675 is alive. He's at the insiders camp.
What is this place?
Sanctuary, Mr. Robbins. We've created a new society here, a civilized one. We live under constant threat from the outsiders.
He's military trained, you realize that. Somebody taught him how to kill.
You have proven yourself a highly resourceful man. We'd like you to join us.
All I want to do is get off this island. Now I'm gonna kill you.
You want it? Come and get it!
Okay, all right. This will be a good one.
Until next week, have a good one.
All the best.